Boa tarde. Sejam bem-vindos e bem-vindas à Fundação Oriente, à delegação da Fundação Oriente em Goa, na Índia, para o lançamento do glossário Konkani Português, Português Konkani. Francisco Xavier Valeriano Sá, que infelizmente não pode estar presente por razões óbvias, já faleceu, mas temos aqui a sua família muito bem representada, eu com duas sobrinhas, com dois sobrinhos, creio eu, se salvo erro, mas o Frederico já irá reformular se estiver enganado. E uma vez que estamos a falar sobre um glossário de Konkani português, português Konkani, eu havia desafiado o Frederico para que esta sessão fosse toda ela em Konkani e em português, só. O Frederico convenceu-me de que, com razões óbvias, que o inglês também era importante. Obviamente discordei, mas aceitei, como é óbvio. Mas tenho um pedido para fazer aos nossos oradores, que, se possível e se desejarem, que falem só em Konkani e em português. Quem não se sentir confortável com o português, que falem em Konkani. I don't know if all of you are comfortable with the Portuguese, so I will translate into English what I said. So, first of all, welcome to Fundação Oriente. We are here to the book release of the Glossário Konkani Português, Português Konkani. And since, of course, we are here for these two beautiful languages, Konkani and Portuguese, I had proposed to Frederick to have this function all in Konkani and Portuguese, no English. Frederick didn't agree with me. He said that it is important to include English. Also, I understood the reasons, but I would like to challenge all our guest speakers to speak only in Konkani and Portuguese. If you are not comfortable with Portuguese, speak in Konkani. Because probably I'm 1, 2, 3, there's at least 2 Portuguese here. We are 5 that will not understand anything about Konkani. But I think it's a good way to start to improve it, because I think it's a shame, at least for me, after 3 years, I don't speak Konkani at all. Always English, always Portuguese, always English, and events like this helps to promote different languages. So this is why I will start to learn. Thank you very much once again, and Frederick, please, you can come and say bad things about me and about the discussions that we had. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paulo. Paulo warned me that he's going to spill the beans on me not wanting to have this program only in Konkani and Portuguese. You are very much welcome to speak in any language you are comfortable with. I'd like to start off with a small presentation about the author. And before that, I'd just like to say very briefly how the book came about. So, as you know, many things in life are all about accidents. So we were having a small book exhibition come sale in our village of Saligaon, and at that exhibition the Museum of Christian Art was also there, and they had this book with them. And the moment I saw it, I was surprised, because I collect books on Goa. I've got about 3,500. That's a boast, yeah, but I'm proud of my collection. And I said, I've never seen this before, and it looks so special. So immediately I bought 3 copies, and then I wrote a review on it. And after writing a review on it, I just slept over it. There is a group of Portuguese speakers in Goa called SPG, which was active, so I somehow got onto the group, though I'm not fluent in the language. And I shared my review there. So somehow it reached Sergio Sa, who is the son of the author, and he liked the review. So I said, let me try my luck. I said, Sergio, do you think we can publish your dad's book in Goa? So he said, yeah, sure. And he was very helpful, I must say. We are very grateful to him for making it happen. And that's how the book came here. I don't want to come in the way of you all and the speakers here this evening. We have a very interesting panel. And you know, language has a lot of agreements and disagreements among ourselves. So it's not necessarily that we have the same point of view. We even can have clashing points of views on the language, but I'm sure they are going to say a lot of things which will give us food for thought and help us to think about what is the future, you know, how we take our languages forward, especially small languages. I'm not being, dismissive, but I think big languages like Portuguese have a lot of other speakers across the world to take care of them, but how do we take care of the smaller languages? So we'll start by playing this small 4-minute presentation which is based on the information given to me by the late author's son. It talks about his work, his growing up in Goa, and the books he's written. I was frankly surprised that he has written 16 books on Goa, 15 or 16, and we are not aware of it ourselves. And you know, that's part of being, you know, a very diasporic community. So the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. Very grateful to have so many of his relations here. And this is our small tribute to him. I'd like to say thank you for sharing this useful piece of work. As one Konkani writer he said, this is a useful book because there are a lot of old words in Konkani which we have forgotten now, which are being preserved by this book. And I strongly believe that if we want to make a language important, we have to give people reasons to learn it, to study it, to use it, you know, to keep it alive. See, writing fiction, poetry, creative works, that's fine, but it's not going to take a language forward. We need non-fiction in a language. We need history to be written in a language. We need language to be worked off in the same language and things like that. So we'll go down to that book, and then we have 3 very interesting speakers who we'll move on to next. This is hardly 5 minutes. Yeah. Please listen to the music. I think you'll like it also. So the music, thank you. The text is by his son Sergio, and the music is by one of the local artists called Rock Lazarus, who is extremely talented on the guitar, and he's been kind enough to share this rendering of his Konkani classic Adios Corso Velar, and it's on Wikimedia Commons. So having said that, we'll move to the actual program, and I'd like to invite Dr. Isabel Santarita Vaz to start the ball rolling with her take on the book and how she encountered it. A word of introduction to Dr. Isabel first. She is the, okay, let me start here. She is the don't call me doctor kind of person, so I won't say Dr. Isabel Santarita Vaz. So anyway, she is one of the kindest, nicest, and most helpful professor for a generation of young students. I'm not reading from somewhere, this is the person I know. For a generation of students from Tempe College. So she has been mentoring young people in the world of theatre. She's got about 170 theatre plays, something like that. No, somewhere close. And she has been part of a whole lot of groups where she's infused positivity in youngsters and encouraged them to look at the world very differently. She's very helpful when anyone seeks any help from her. But apart from that, she has been a professor of English for much of her life in Tempe College, and more recently also a visiting faculty at Goa University. So she is of course skilled in Portuguese, Konkani, one of the few people of that generation. I'll leave the floor open to her. Doctor, if you could say a few words, we'd be grateful.
Very good evening, friends. Deu bari sanj deu. Muito boa tarde. And I have done my job of speaking all three languages. I feel actually grateful to Frederick for introducing me to this writer. I wasn't aware of him. And what we are actually releasing today is a glossary. It is a dictionary. But I assure you that I had fun reading it. I went through it and I enjoyed it because, as all of us know, these are our two home languages. Konkani and Portuguese is what we always spoke, I think even in our mother's womb. I still do. And since I don't have much family to talk to, I talk Portuguese to my dogs, excuse me. They are my family. But it's a language that I love. And I was really delighted to look at this book that has got various, what shall I say, various words in Konkani that we have used all our lives. My mother was from Salsit, my father was from Bardes. So if we saw a rat, sometimes it was undir, sometimes it was indur. Sometimes we ate masuri and sometimes we ate niste or nuste. So life is interesting and has always been for us. Since Frederick has already introduced the author, I will not say too much about where he was born and so on, because you already know that. I must say that I was delighted to meet his family and to discover, I didn't know until this evening who he was related to, and I'm so happy, so very delighted, almost as if I have known this gentleman personally. So, As Frederick wrote in the Navin Times on the 22nd of May 2022, his interests include studying Goa, music, photography, painting, and more. It only goes to show how the Goan takes Goa to whichever part of the globe he or she is located in, says Frederick, and how true. Of Francisco Xavier Valerian de Sá. What did Francisco do besides his professional work? Some would call him a Renaissance man. He was so generous in his interests. His friend João Coutinho calls him Homem de Sete Ofícios. Shakespeare would have called him a man of many parts. Francisco was a photographer, a painter. He loved cooking. I believe he cooked an exceptional bibinka. He wrote many books. He loved music. He loved singing. He played the accordion and the guitar. He was a member of numerous music groups. He enjoyed visiting historical places, researching and writing about them. He was a member of the group Ekwot, and he started the music and dance group for young people called Gamat. They performed in many places, including the Kala Academy, Goa. He was a soft-spoken and helpful man, keen on his personal and family stories, and he loved sharing them. He passed away in 2023. Among the 15 books that he published, and these I will read for you slowly because you need to know the range of his interests. Vice-Reis e Governadores da Índia Portuguesa, published in Macau in 1999. Composições de Duarte Costa para guitarra portuguesa, the compositions of Duarte Costa for the Portuguese guitar. Transposição para guitarra portuguesa de músicas de Goa, transposition to the Portuguese guitar of music from Goa. Páginas dispersas, goês viajando pela história. Scattered pages, a Goan traveling through history. Padroado português do Oriente e os mitrados da Sé de Goa, written in 2004, the Portuguese Padroado of the East and the Mitra of the Sea of Goa. Banco Nacional Ultramarino, crônica do seu percurso. Banco Nacional Ultramarino, a chronicle of its journey. Patrimônio heráldico português em Goa, Damão, Idiu e Coxim, published in 2013. The heritage of Portuguese heraldry in Goa, Daman and Diu and Cochin. São Francisco Xavier, St. Francis Xavier. Goa, Sabores, Saberes e Segredos. By him and his wife, Maya Olivia das Angústias da Costa de Sá and Francisco Xavier Valerian de Sá, published in 2022. Translation: Goa, Flavors, Knowledge and Secrets. Glossário Konkani em português, Português Konkani. To tell you the truth, I wasn't quite sure of the meaning glossary. And I discovered it's a brief dictionary, which makes him a lexicographer. First published in Portugal in 2022, now published in Goa by Goa 1556 in 2025. Pretty wide range of interests in his writing, from music to historical themes, to cuisine, to biography, memoirs, and a dictionary. Fabulous, I say. The man. I have read some tributes from relatives and friends In Revista da Casa de Goa, published in 2024, soon after he passed away, and his friends and relatives, many of them, write about him as a very creative, multifaceted, and amiable personality. And one of his friends relates how he attended some big party somewhere and he tasted a bibinka. And he wanted to know who is the one who made this bibinka. It's extraordinary. And they said, Francisco. He said, ha, it had to be because this is really exceptional. So there you are. The glossary, today's book, is dedicated to the memory of Dr. Olivine Gomes, who assisted the author, wrote the preface, and edited an early version of the book. Dr. Gomes remarks in the preface on the history of the Konkani language in Goa, as well as regions like Kerala, Karnataka, and Maharashtra, and specifically small communities in Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, and Chennai, and its ups and downs in the country for a variety of socio-political reasons. Sadly, Dr. Gomes passed away in 2009 before the book was published in Portugal in the year 2022. This glossary has 3 sections. The first one, Konkani Português. Second one, Português Konkani. And the third is a short one that he calls Diversos, miscellaneous, where he gives us the days of the week, the names of the months, numbers, and measurements. It's a small section. Why did Francisco write this glossary? I scratched my head, Why did he write it? Basically, I realized it was a labor of love, not lightly undertaken. And he says, foi trabalho árduo e cansativo. So you can understand. It was really difficult. He was encouraged, he says, by his wife. He wrote it for the speakers and writers of these languages residing in Goa, as well as those Goans in the diaspora who loved the language and used the Romi script. He was motivated because no dictionary is available to a writer of Konkani in Romi script except for the one by Monsignor Sebastião Rodolfo Dalgard, published more than a century ago. It was published in 1905. Who is the book useful to? To writers, to translators, to new learners of these languages. It's interesting that the author gives many instances of the different versions of the same word. Bardej and Salset Konkani, he has included them in the book. Indur, Undir, Piskati and Isuri, Piao and Ikando, Masuri and Nuste and Niste. Our languages flavor our lives in diverse ways. Konkani and Portuguese have been a deep part of our existence, sometimes both languages side by side, sometimes a blend of languages in one single sentence that we speak in familiar language. A Portuguese person would probably say, o que é que tu dizes? E nós, goeses que falamos português, dizemos às vezes, o que dizes, Gotu? Em minha casa era assim que se falava português. O que disseste, Gotu? Um português diria, vais indo? E nós dizemos, já vais, né? Foi o que ela disse realmente? Ela disse assim, are? É o nosso português que nós falamos correntemente. Meaning, really, truly, and other word, vá-se embora. Portuguese has added many words to our daily Konkani. There was this student of mine who was from Goa, but she was born in Mumbai, Bombay those days, and she was married to a local Goan. And she came and told me, I don't know what Konkani these people speak, you know. My mother-in-law told me, Salant was, and Zonela Chelat Dola Dead. And she said, Ani kite, Sal munche kite, Zonel munche kite, Lat munche kite. I don't understand, she said. Go into the hall and bring the tin which has been kept on the window. So this is our Konkani. Did Konkani influence Portuguese? In common parlance, in Goan Portuguese, there are new words. Baizita, Baizinha, Babazinho. There are other words, Konkani words that we have not changed, which we use. Baba, Babush, Ai Saiba, Avoige, Saiba Babos. Part of our language, we don't know what is Portuguese, what is Konkani. We speak interchangeably these words. Desar's glossary has arrived at the right time when Konkani in the Roni script is gaining greater public attention. I must tell you with a lot of excitement that interesting research work in the School of Languages at Goa University is happening as we speak. Once upon a time they were called Department of English, Department of French. There's a new wisdom now. They are now called School of Languages. And there is Portuguese, there is French, there is Konkani, there is Marathi, there is Hindi, there used to be Spanish. And they are getting on famously together. They are working together and they are doing a lot of research, which makes me extremely happy. Students from other states of India are studying Portuguese in Goa for academic purposes and for reasons of employment. Many students from Bihar are learning Portuguese. The study of Konkani and creative writing in Konkani is also now growing compared to a few years ago. The glossary indicates that both these languages could be further made accessible to possible learners. And I will end by telling you about a dream that I have. I feel that our history has given us a historical accident, a cultural accident. It has given us access to a whole lot of languages. Sadly, we use them as weapons. This language against that one. My dream is that in schools, children will be taught many languages. No exams, thank you. So parents will not be able to protest. Anyway, the little ones have a great ability for languages and there are no exams. So I can't understand what is the big deal about. One young mother is telling me, you know, my son has to learn oral Hindi in the class. I said, wonderful, isn't it? But they don't think it's wonderful. They think it's a burden. My dream is that in a few years' time, people in Goa will learn a handful of languages when they are smallies. So they will enjoy them and they will be able to communicate with the whole world. And I'm very happy to learn that Mandarin is going to be taught in Uttarakhand. I read that in yesterday's paper. And so you see, there is hope for my dream. The glossary is useful and I assure you it's fun to read. And so thank you, Frederick, for the opportunity to get to know this wonderful Goan writer. Thank you.
That was virtually an academic lecture, but one which we could all understand and which we enjoyed. Thank you so much, Dr. Isabel. आता आमचो दुसरो उलोवपी दामोदर गाणेकर, आमी दामबाब म्हणटात तेका. I will not introduce him. I'll introduce Korna Teka. I'll फक्त एकूच मातशें कितें ताजें काम दाखयता हांगासर. I will display it. Then you will understand who this man is. So he is a lexicographer who writes small dictionaries. This is the one which he wrote. कितने पाना रे? कितने पाना? 2000 words. 2000 pages. Sorry. 2000 pages. There थोड़ा होता लो. So this is his work, and I encourage you to read it. It is called Rajhans Kokni Sachitra Ashtangi Abhyas Kosh. He will translate and tell you what it means later. But it's an eightfold elaboration of every word in Kokni that he has come across. He's done excellent work there. I want to placate Damodar and make sure, because see, the Third World War can start here, because once we start talking about languages and dialects and scripts and all that, mashe zogri petpak shakyata asa. So to keep him in good state, I have brought him 2 books which I have promised him a long time back. And these 2 books are about, lexicographers. Just a word. One is about the surgeon of Croton. So apparently, one of the biggest contributors to the Oxford English Dictionary was a person who was committed to a lunatic asylum. No, the dictionary is good, but this is the person, and he did great work. So this is a biography of that person, and as they say, reasonable people change to the ways of the world, so therefore all progress depends on unreasonable people, and both Damu and myself are in that category of unreasonable people. And the second book is about the extraordinary story of Dr. Johnson's dictionary. So if you feel you can return them back to me, over to you, Dambab.
Barangoi, boa tarde, good evening. I studied Portuguese for 1.5 years from Anton Miniz, who ran Diário da Noite for some years. I could not read it then, but his scholarship and I went to his house and took the lessons. They are still with me. I made Konkani English dictionary. Specially, it was a स्वार्थ आशिल्लो तातूंत. I wanted it for myself, but it is helping many people, and it is helping the courts. Yeah. Some lawyers, when the judge asked something, he said, took it out from his bag and showed, this is giving, just see. So, this was done with the help of my friend, Mukesh Dhari, who just retired from Akashvani as a news reader. This took 5 years, though we divided it into 2 halves. And then this came in 2003. This was in 1999. This came in 2003. And I have not compiled this. This was compiled by Mukesh's uncle, Prakash Dhari. I am the editor of this. And the second edition is soon coming out. आता तुमकां जें हांवें सांगलां, I will just come to that. This is a pride for Konkani. This is a pride for Goa and all the Konkani people. Not because it is mine, because it is Konkani. I worked at the university from 9 to 11, 2 years. It was on a project, all India project, 22 languages. And we used to meet together in 2-3 months. We went even to as far as Shillong and Coimbatore Mumbai IIT, all these places. So at one of the, on one occasion, though it is a load, 3 kilos weight, but the weight does not carry any weight. This carries weight. So I took the dictionary just to ask the people there whether they have this in their language. And it was after a dinner that they got together in the hotel. I just slipped out and brought the dictionary. It was a good idea because all of them were together. And I said, do you have this in your language? This? What is this? I said, it's a dictionary, just like Oxford English Dictionary. So, who made it? I said, the person speaking to you has made it. Oh, is it? Hey, look, 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 look. So then everybody was excited. They saw. I have brought this only to ask you whether it is in your language. There was a big no. So I said, Konkani is the language that has this, which other languages do not have. आता कोणी म्हाका विचारता केन्नाय हांव पुर्तुगेज उलयलो हांवें पुर्तुगेज हाजे भशेन न्हय आय कांट स्पीक लायक हिम तूं पुर्तुगेज शिकला हय हांव पुर्तुगेज शिकलां in 1990. So how old were you when the Portuguese left? I was just small, 6 years old, just beginning to in the first standard. म्हणटकच तांकां मागीर ते म्हणटा so how do you speak Portuguese? So I said I learned it in 1990. So I have compiled these 3, plus there is one more that is compiled by 14 teachers of Konkani, teachers and non-teachers. My sister is also involved, and that I have edited. That is Marathi Konkani, and we are now going to have soon a Konkani Marathi dictionary, because my publisher Rajhans, Mr. Prabhakar Bhide from Raibandar, he's mad. He's mad with knowledge. He wants as many dictionaries as possible. Now, right now, if you go and see, office must be closed. But on his table, there are 5 or 6 Portuguese, Konkani Portuguese dictionaries. The biggest one is Sebastião Rudolf Delgado. And I think he is my guide. Sebastião Rudolf Delgado anje kyala kam. There is no comparison, and there will be no comparison for the next at least 100 years. He has made a voluminous work. And पांय कापले आसतना with diabetes, you know that, no? With diabetes, he was in Portugal. पांय कापले आसतना on the bed he compiled the dictionary. So madman, nahi? So dictionary makers are madmen. Always. Why should I spend life when there is better opportunity? So this dictionary, both these are mainly meant for translators, and here this we have given the oblique form of only feminine nouns. We thought that that would suffice, but then when we made this one, this big one, my guide and teacher, Suresh Jagan Burka, he has written the Konkani grammar also. So he said that only feminine nouns would not be enough. So we had to give the oblique forms of masculine, feminine and neuter nouns also. To, ti आणि तें. कोंकणीन तें आसा. तें बंगालीन ना. Bengali manis guspata. Teं येतूच. When it comes to a neuter noun, the Bengali speaker gets confused. What is teं? This is neuter. This is neither masculine nor feminine. So we gave that, and then we gave whether it is a noun, pronoun, adjective, adverb. Then, as I told you, the oblique form. What is an oblique form? In Konkani we call it samanya roop. Samanya roop means common noun. It is one word, samanya roop. It's an oblique form. The OED, Oxford English Dictionary, of which I have a huge copy. I'm also mad at buying dictionaries that I bought at a discount at an exhibition which was closing at 9, and I bought it at 8:30. So I just pressurized the person to sell me at a discounted rate. He said, take it for 850. Price is 900. Was 900. Take it for, why 50? I'll pay you 800. But not now. I don't have the money. Tomorrow I'll pay you. So the next day I went and gave them. But I took the dictionary home that night. That was the biggest, Bible paper dictionary. And I still use it. So OED gives the meaning of oblique form as, in some Indian languages, the noun takes a twisted form. That is the oblique form, because they cannot exactly define it. We can exactly define it in Konkani. Bapui, tuja bapaik, not bapuyak. Kolo, kolyak. Combo, comeback. So this is oblique form is the one with which you call that person. Komya yo, komya ba. Ba is a Kannada word. Ba means come. So that oblique form is very important, and in the workshops that I conduct on grammar, I find that our teachers, our Konkani teachers, are just ignorant about this. I said, why don't you read the Konkani grammar? That is the basis of all that you speak and all that you teach. No, nobody is prepared to listen. Leave alone Portuguese and English. I should study my language first. No passion, because on 31st I get. So I am not worried if I don't study anything. I will just go to the class and say blah blah blah. I will get my paycheck on 31st. So this is a very difficult situation in Goa, and sorry state of affairs with the government. At the government level, the Bill of Language Act has been already enacted, but nobody cares about it. Nobody cares about the Konkani Academy. Nobody cares about the Directorate of Official Languages. Just left to God knows what they do there. Sometimes some workshops are conducted. So I should not boast. I conducted training classes for government employees. They were conducted in many centers, and here the center was at Don Bosco, and it was a 40-day course. I conducted 5 such courses, 40-day course for the government employees. All were goans, but grammar and other things had to be taught to them. मुझीच भाषा पूण हांव शिकना. In England, they learn English. Why do they learn English? Don't they speak at home? It's their natural mother tongue. Why should they learn English? Learning English or learning any language, what does it mean? It means that you learn the grammar of that language. I'm learning Portuguese, means I'm learning the grammar of Portuguese. So I just missed that point. So when people ask, is there any similarity between Portuguese and Konkani? I said extremely similar in conjugation, you might know. One who knows both the languages are extremely similar in conjugation. So one who is fluent or not fluent, one who is trying to learn, or one who knows Portuguese and one who wants to study Konkani, it will be very easy, and vice versa, unless the person wants to learn Portuguese with passion. Otherwise, it's no use. So in this dictionary, there is oblique form of only feminine nouns, but this big one gives the oblique forms of all 3 genders: masculine, feminine, and neuter. Yes, I've finished. If there are questions, we can speak to it. Yeah, thank you.
Dambab Diobarekunu. Very enlightening talk, and it is people like you who will take the language forward. And I think, waiting for the government is like waiting for Godot; it never comes. So, the last speaker for today is Father Dr. Pratap Naik. He was a young priest when I knew him in the 90s. We were all young then. And together with Father Matthew Almeida, he played a key role in building the Thomas Stevens Konkani Kendra. I won't tell you much about him, but one insight into his life is that he's a priest with green fingers, as I called him that. He started a garden in Alta Porvorim, where he had one species of about 125 different trees, and he had put beautiful labels with the English, Latin, and sometimes Konkani names, sometimes which he had to coin the names in Konkani. So Father is going to speak today on the contributions of the missionaries in dictionary making. Please.
Dev Bari Sans Dev. This is how we greet in Konkani to one another. The Portuguese Jesuit missionaries introduced 4 greetings: Dev Baro Dis Dev, Dev Bari Sans Dev, Dev Bari Rat Dev, Dev Barenkoro. And this is widely used by Catholics wherever they are Konkani speakers. But all the Hindus in Goa and outside Goa, they will use Dev Barenkoro. Thank you. Obrigado in Portuguese. The first speaker, Dr. Isabel, spoke about Francisco's contribution to Portuguese Konkani glossary. Second speaker, Mr. Damodar Ganekar, spoke about his contribution to Konkani language. Let me tell Damodar Bab, if you come just now with me, the dictionaries which he showed, Konkani Portuguese, Konkani English, English Konkani, and what Dr. Frederick showed, Konkani dictionary. They are my colleagues, they are on my table all the time to use. Of course, there are other dictionaries of Monsignor Delgado and other things. I am going to speak about the contribution of European missionaries to Konkani vocabularies. Konkani Portuguese, Portuguese Konkani. In Goa from 16th to 18th century. A Jesuit scholastic, Eduardo Leitão from St. Paul's College, Old Goa, wrote a letter to Jesuits in Portugal. The letter is dated 16th November 1570. It is written in Portuguese and it is found in Documenta Indica, volume 8, page 324, and Documenta Indica in multiple volumes are found in Xavier Center of Historical Research, Alto Porvorim. He writes, of course, the translation in English, it is not difficult now as in the past, as the grammar and the vocabulary have been made, and also there are those who can teach it. He's talking about Konkani language. Those days, the word Konkani didn't exist. It was called lingua canarina, lingua de Goa, lingua de terra, like that with different names. The name Konkani came a little later. From this letter, we can deduce that the first Konkani Portuguese vocabulary was compiled prior to 1570. And in those days, except Sanskrit and Pali languages, none of the modern Indian languages had a dictionary. It is either lost or maybe lying in one of the libraries or archives in Europe. Since then, Jesuit, Franciscan, and one Carmelite missionary from Europe, mainly the Portuguese, have compiled at least 21 vocabularies, which I have a complete list. Some of them are Konkani Portuguese, others are Portuguese Konkani. Some of them are lost, and some are found in Portugal, Rome, London, Central Library, Goa Archives. And when I was at Thomas Stephens Konkani Kendra, Porvorim, I got either Xerox copy or microfilms, and they are preserved there in Porvorim. Of these, I would like to show you 3 vocabularies. This is the first one. Vocabulario da Lingua Canari by Diogo Ribeiro, completed the work 1626. The original manuscript is in Central Library, Panji. Professor Pandurang Pisurlenkar got it typed, this manuscript. Somehow it landed up in one of the second-hand bookshops in USA. And that shopkeeper said, what is the use of this? It's simply occupying space. So he wanted to discard it. But to our luck, to Konkani people, Professor Toru Maruyama of Nanzen University, Japan, visited that shop. He didn't know Konkani, but he is a Japanese and old Portuguese scholar. He saw that and he was fascinated by that manuscript. Though he didn't understand a single word of Konkani, but given the equivalent in Portuguese, he bought it for a throwaway price. He studied, he edited, and he published this in 2005. This is my constant companion. It is Konkani Portuguese. I don't speak Portuguese, but I understand what is written. Now he has re-edited and is waiting for a publisher. He has also given now Konkani, Portuguese and English. The second one, Vocabulario da Língua Canari Conversa Portuguesa. My pronunciation may not be right, but this is the name of this. This is an enlarged version of the previous Diogo Ribeiro's dictionary, done by Jesuits. Probably it was compiled by Miguel de Almeida, a Jesuit, or Antonio Saldanha, a Jesuit of those days. It was printed as a facsimile edition by the Portuguese people in Lisbon in 1973 by Junta Ultramar. Facsimile edition. As it was written, you can see, it's handwritten. And the previous one is printed. Second. And the third one, I would like to show 2-volume vocabulary or dictionary may call Vocabulario of the Konkani language in the early 17th century with English translation and philological comments, preliminary version prepared by Professor Roque Miranda, who is in Mysore but a sickly person. He could not carry on with that work. So Professor Toru Maruyama requested him to give his works, and Toru Maruyama edited these 2 volumes. Now these 2 volumes contain Diogo Ribeiro and the second vocabulary I showed you of Junta edition, and plus 1 more vocabulary of a Jesuit. Unknown. So all 3 are combined in this and they are published. Missionaries used Roman alphabets with diacritical marks to represent the speech sounds of Konkani. And they were quite accurate. Due to this, linguists like me can study the linguistic features of Old Konkani. Example, in Old Konkani, all the words end in either in a vowel or a diphthong. The modern orthographies of Devanagari and Roman scripts used for Konkani now are inadequate to write Old Konkani. Let me give an example. In Old Konkani, it is Yeku Disu. This we can write, whether it's a Devanagari or Roman script, we can write. But in Old Konkani, Doni Disa, not this, Doni Disa. How to write in Devanagari script? You can't write. If you write, they will say this. Damodar Bab will know. He will understand. In Roman script, no. But Kannada script, yes. You can write Doni Disa. This is different from Disa. Anyhow. The Konkani Portuguese vocabularies not only give the equivalents but also provide oblique form which he spoke about. Oblique forms in Konkani is required. Like you take word ambo. Ambo means mango. To add suffixes, you have to change that ambo to ambia. Then only you can say ambiak to the mango, ambiak on the mango, ambiacho of the mango. Because Konkani language doesn't have prepositions like English. We have postpositions. The postpositions cannot be added to the root word. The form has to change. That is called oblique form, which Mr. Damodar Ganekar spoke about. The missionaries give oblique form of all the nouns. And this I brought out to the attention of Mr. Suresh Borkar, your guru, and said, Suresh Bab, you have given oblique forms of only of feminine nouns. Others are required. He was very open-minded person and he accepted. And that's how in the Konkani dictionary of Damodar Ganekar, there is oblique forms of all the dictionary, all the nouns. The missionaries also gave socio-cultural information. Example, in Old Konkani there is a word called Sir, is a feminine. What is the meaning they give? A handful rice that is cast on the heads of the newlyweds ceremonially when they get married. This is the explanation they give in Portuguese. In Diogo Ribeira's vocabulary, I found only 5 Konkani words which are borrowed from Portuguese. There may be a few more, but I couldn't get. A Konkani word, let me say, which is borrowed, igreja, probably from Portuguese igreja. Cristão, Christian. Casu, chavi, probably Portuguese chave. Then misak, of course Portuguese maybe misa. From 1625 onwards, Portuguese words entered Konkani along with the respective objects. Like for instance, we didn't have bench, bank, we said bank, or mess, we didn't have. So the words from Portuguese also entered Konkani. Portuguese words have enriched the Konkani vocabulary. According to Sebastião Delgado's Konkani Portuguese Dictionary published in 1893, he gives 640 Portuguese words. I counted from page to page. But in the spoken Konkani, especially of the Catholics, there are plenty of Portuguese words. I have not made a list of all those words. Now, due to the influence of English, they are getting replaced by English words, which is really, it is also part of the language process. Majority of the Portuguese words blend well with Konkani phonetic and phonemic system. This I can definitely say as a linguist. For example, in Konkani we have the word gaon. Gaon means village. Now means the name. Zão, let it be. See how we borrowed from Portuguese and blended with Konkani. Buião, Beção, Irmão, Teção, Missão, Pergão, Calção, Culchão, Vareção, Capelão, Lição, Botão, Maldição, Picação, and so many, fit very well into Konkani. English words don't fit into Konkani phonetic system, no. At times, the Portuguese words were retained as they are. For example, altar, masculine, in Konkani also altar, masculine, altar. Caçador, masculine in Portuguese, and in Konkani, caçador, masculine. At times, Portuguese words are nativized to Konkani sounds. For example, in Konkani we say render, padre, mis, change little bit from Portuguese. Missionaries used the modified Roman script to write and print Konkani. Their writings reached Europe. Due to this, 2 important things happened. First, in Europe, people came to know the existence of a language called Konkani. Otherwise, it would have taken maybe a few more centuries to know. Already in 16th century, they came to know there is a language called Konkani in Goa. Second, the missionaries discovered there is similarity between Konkani, Latin and Greek. They were quite surprised how this is possible. So they did in-depth study, especially the Jesuit, Italian Jesuit Father Ignazio Arcamone, and came to the conclusion these languages are related. Of course, later on Sir William Jones studied Sanskrit and all, and definitely established. So in linguistics we have a sub branch called comparative linguistics. The foundation was laid here in Goa by the Jesuit missionaries for this. And coming to my last point, the opponents of Roman script for Konkani accuse the missionaries on two grounds. First, they say the missionaries produced grammars, vocabularies, literature not out of love for Konkani, but to propagate their religion. Whatever may be their motive, you show me now one person who does work for Konkani pure for the love of Konkani. That is some self-love, self-interest. So missionaries did it, and we benefited. Second, they say missionaries have corrupted the language without knowing the history of language, whether it is old Konkani or old Marathi, words ended in vowels or diphthongs. Now that is changed. If these missionaries had used one of the Indian scripts, the opponents would have praised the contribution of missionaries, and that would have been taught in our universities and colleges. Now that is not much done, little bit here and there. I am grateful to these European missionaries who came to Goa. They contributed, not only missionaries, even Portuguese people contributed in many aspects of our life here, which I did not speak. You are aware of it. From our surnames, from our names, from our flora, our customs, our food habits, and so many things. But I am grateful to them for maintaining and keeping the record of my language, Konkani, which I can study. So they are no more with us, but their works are with us. I am grateful to them, and I am grateful to, he doesn't like to be called doctor, but he is a doctor, Dr. Frederick Norona, for giving me an opportunity to place before you few of my observations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Father Pratap, for the very erudite talk, and you held the audience with us all along the way. I'm not going to try their patience anymore, but I'll call on Carlos de Sá, who is a nephew and the godson of the author, late author, to say a few words of how he remembered his godfather. His books, by the way, are there. Some of the author's books are there for demonstration. Please don't buy them or try to buy them because they are not for sale, but you can buy a lot of our publications which are for sale, many of which have a overlap between Portuguese, Goa kind of issues. Carlos, over to you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to be here this evening for the launch of this glossary. And after hearing and listening to our distinguished and eminent panelists this evening, I must admit that I am neither an accomplished linguist or a lexicographer, nor am I fluent in Portuguese and Konkani. So, doctor, please excuse me. I'll speak in English. But the only criteria that perhaps Frederick found that qualified me to come and speak to you today is that I am related, very closely related to the author. In fact, he is my uncle, my dad's youngest brother. We also have another two people who are closely related to my uncle, and that is his niece Cynthia and nephew Robin, who are the children of Francisco's eldest sister. So they are also here today. So on this joyous occasion of the launch, I thought and felt compelled that I should share some of the insights and glimpses into his life. A major part of it has already been brought out by Dr. Isabella in the introduction, so that makes my speech shorter by another 3 minutes. So I'll just take another 3 more minutes to enlighten you to what triggered my uncle to come up with all these 15 books that he has come out with. He, my uncle was a multifaceted personality, and he had many interests and hobbies that he would pursue very passionately. He had a very good flair, a wonderful flair for writing, and that was what anchored everything, all his hobbies together, and he transformed these hobbies of his into books that he could share his knowledge with the others. Another thing is, whenever he traveled, he was always armed with with a camera of a very high resolution, so that he captured whatever photographs in very vivid format that he could finally illustrate into his books and made these books so interesting and so attractive. And I was fortunate to, every time my uncle would come down from Lisbon, he would invariably go to visit here, visit there, armed with his with his camera, and I would take him around. And he was working on this book on viceroys and this thing, and governors and many others, these governors, these Portuguese people, and I was privileged, to go around with him. And father is here today. He was the one who gave us permission to go to the bishop's palace, to remove certain photographs which have been depicted in his books. So what triggered him to write these books? He had a very distinguished career with Banque Nationale Ultramarine, and he rose up in that organization right from joining it as a young officer. He grew up, and perhaps that motivated him to come up with a book which he dedicated and chronicled the journey of that organization or that bank right from its inception to the time he retired. That was what he wrote on his bank, on the bank. Then Goa was always ingrained in his heart, and he delved very deeply into its history and culture. And that is how he came out with books, like how I said on the viceroys and governors of Goa. There was another where he depicted the coat of arms of this nobleman who came to Goa and settled down and died. So that was another book he wrote. He was, his patron saint or his favorite saint was Saint Francis Xavier, after whom he was named and in whose church he got married. So that again inspired him to write an entire book detailing the history of Saint Francis Xavier, including showing the relics that were in various parts of the world, and they're beautifully photographed and brought out in that book of his. A family pilgrimage to the Holy Land again motivated him to write on the footsteps of Jesus, and that is another book also that is beautifully photographed. Like doctor said regarding the Billings, yes, he was an excellent cook. And when my wife and I went and spent time with him in Lisbon, we were really treated to some excellent and exotic dishes that he prepared for us during our stay. Billing was one of them, but there were many, many more. And that love or that culinary expertise that he had again inspired him to write a book on cooking, which when the title when translated as the flavors and secrets of Goan cuisine. And that book was authored along with his wife Maya, who had expired before him. Finally, there are many books of which I could go on and go on, but the latest book is this one, o talento que Deus me deu, the talents that God has given me. This is my favorite. The only reason is there is completely less Portuguese here written, and most of it is all in the forms of all his paintings and his sketches and his portraits that he did. Some of these are even self-portrait that he did of his own. The others are of my father, of his sisters, of his wife, children, and many, many more. And they are so realistic that they often look like photographs. Many of these books are already there, personally autographed by him. They are not for sale. I just brought them so others could share at it. And so you see, he was a multifaceted personality with whom I interacted many times. Even the photographs, that he clicked right from the time when those negatives were there, even those roles were he catalogued them so minutely and used to keep them in boxes and label them within which year it was clicked and all this. So very meticulous man, and that is perhaps what led him to success and bring out these 15 books. Regarding this glossary, I happened to, I didn't have the opportunity to discuss with my uncle, but just before this launch, I spoke to his son Sergio as to what made him go into this glossary. And most of the reasons are what I have already been brought, that because of this Portuguese influence, a lot of words, there was a reciprocal influence of language between these two languages, and many of the words from one language blended or crept into the other. And there was a space here which he thought he could address or contribute, where he could bring out a glossary so that anytime anybody wanted to refer, there was a ready reckoner for them to refer and navigate between these two languages. I want to thank, on behalf of my uncle's family, I want to thank Frederick for launching out this Go edition here. I want to thank Doctor also for facilitating this launch, and thank each one of you for coming here. Perhaps that glossary will help you in your next trip to Portugal. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Carlos. You made our work easier by giving the vote of thanks also. We have not done anyone a favor. I just think it's a very useful book, and Goa deserves such books. And it's easy to do it nowadays, so we will do our best. Time for questions. See, we don't even have to agree with what the other speaker said, and we are not going to cross-question them in terms of why you said this or that. But any responses, any questions, any comments, some things you felt were left unsaid, please go ahead. The first question is always the toughest. It doesn't come, and then it doesn't stop after that. Yeah, please. Pio. Just your name, just to introduce you to those who don't know Pio. Pio Esteves.
I have a question for Carlos. You mentioned that Francisco was known for the cooking. He was a good cook, and you mentioned about Vivica. Could you tell something more about the dishes that you prepared?
They were basically Goan dishes, which he but there were many others also, like octopus, soup, and all those things. So for the bread and all these. So if you get a copy of that, congratulations for the bread. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think there's so much talent all around. We need the mechanisms to get it out in that sense, Something else? Anyone else? Yes, Professor Delphine.
It's interesting what
If anyone doesn't know Professor Delphine, he will introduce himself.
No. I work in university, visiting lecturer and director of Camões and coordinator of the chair, and I'm feeling more and more good. I need to learn Konkani, to improve my Konkani, and just know how to treat and regarding languages, which is very interesting, especially when we have to contact with different languages. I had the first what Father said about very similar between Konkani and Chavi, all all these words. It's amazing to find the trace and follow the travel of languages, because languages bring culture and encounters. Well, my first experience with Indian languages was in last century, in the Jawaharlal Nehru University in '96, and I realized that Hindi and Portuguese was very similar. The numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we have Chari, where the word of chai, that we have Portuguese cha. It's also, I'm not sure, because recently some linguists told me that cha is a Chinese word, not is a Chinese word. Well, but what I would like to say is that the similarities between the languages, Indian languages and Romance languages, which is Portuguese, is because we come from the same branch, same tree, Indo-European languages. Sanskrit and Latin, they are very close, or at least the rules, the grammar, they were talking about the grammar, which make me propose a kind of challenge. Let's forget all the barriers and try to learn more than one language at the same time. Learning Portuguese, French, or Spanish, and Konkani, Marathi, and Hindi. Not only one language because I need. So it's not to make, I need to learn this language because it's useful, but probably when we are learning one language, there's another one who can also be learned at the same time. So in Portuguese is very easy. Portuguese and Spanish, I used to say the Spanish comes for free. Italian, the grammar of French is very similar. And then Konkani and Marathi, I realized they're very close, and even Hindi and Sanskrit. So what Professor Isabel Santrita was saying about the School of Languages at the university, yeah, it's a pity that we don't have departments, because interdisciplinary work, we work also very well in departments, where we can have a kind of autonomy. That's true that we have students from Bihar, which is very interesting. One of the students from Bihar, for instance, he was my student, and I was his co-guide, and he completed PhD on Framsor and Indian philosophies, which shows that mixing languages, not only Konkani and Portuguese, but other Indian languages, Portuguese, probably Italian, French, and Spanish, will be very interesting for us. So this is more a comment. I don't want to make any question. I'm always learning a lot, and I also learned another expression for greeting, not only so it's very important and very interesting that we have many more events like this, where you can discuss the common history and the interaction or the contacts between the languages. They were very good.
Last question.
Yeah.
Last question.
Last question, because of time. We can carry on the interaction outside, but if there's one more question that...
Is there one more question?
Yeah.
Professor Oriel is well established in Goa for so many years. I would like to know what are the programs you have the whole year around music, dramatics, and whatever.
You can come tomorrow or later, and if you have 2 hours to wait.
No, but
I will tell.
But just a short answer. I think some people are coming here for the first time, so if the secret is to get onto their mailing list. So Abigail is there.
Yeah, I will just in 2 minutes explain not about all of our activities, but here we operate in 7 areas. First of all is to support the Portuguese language. We have been supporting all the Goan teachers who are teaching Portuguese at the schools, around 20 schools, because Goa, as you know, is the only state where the Portuguese is taught in the secondary level. Second one is about this. We have this beautiful art gallery. So I've been running a lot of contests in terms of arts and music too, with music festivals like Monte Music Festival. We have been giving some scholarships to all of the go and research and teachers that wants to go to Portugal, or not only to Portugal, but to take their masters and PhDs, and we do the same with the Portuguese researchers and teachers that who wants to come to India to get their masters and PhDs. Have been organizing some events like this, some conferences, and have been supporting some ONGs and humanitarian causes. So in these areas, then we have a lot of activities. This is one of each. But if you really want, if you have time, please come. My pleasure to receive you, to see, to offer a coffee or a glass of port wine from Portugal and talk. But all of our events are on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, and if you have, and if you want to receive, please leave your email or your number, and we send all of our programs.
Thank you so much. With that, we'll wind up for today. The books are there, just a reminder, no pressure to buy, but the glossary is at a discount, and there's an English Konkani dictionary which is also at a special price today. Thank you so much. Yeah, so the formality, we don't believe in a lot of formalities, but I guess we need photographs, so please request the guests. Yeah, come. And yeah, also Carlos will come. Robin also. Come.